Hello and good evening, and I want to address this video to all the geoengineers in the world and all the scientists that study the effects of heavy metals on the environment. And I want to talk to all you chemists out there that are involved in chemistry and the effects of catalysts and the effects of different chemicals upon other chemicals composed together. I'm not a brilliant person, but I would consider to call myself knowledgeable, because when I'm the kind of person, I get interested in something and I pick it apart. I analyze it, I dissect it, I look all through it, I figure it out, I find out if there's any flaws in it, what kind of long-term effects will it have on anything, what could be the mitigating effects of other things upon it. I look at all kinds of things pretty much instantly. This is the way my brain works. It's just like there's a whole bunch of departments within my mind, and all these departments go to work at figuring out what's really going on and what the possibilities are and what the ramifications are, and I kind of come to an analysis of what is going to happen. Well, now that I put all this thought together on this geoengineering and what they're doing in the atmosphere, I figured out it's only over a period of time in the near future, because they've been doing this for a long time, this geoengineering. It's early as the 70s, and they were told they weren't supposed to do it by the military, but it's still going on. Sorry to tell you people. And I have no problem with modifying the weather for the protection of the planet, but you have no clue, you learned people of the world, you scientists that are doing this, no clue what the true ramifications are going to be. And I can say this with great certainty, because I did a little research just on a few elements that interact and have interact and cause effects upon each other chemically. And aluminum reacts with tons of elements, and in some cases very violently. So I want to get this video out to explain to you, if you care about the environment and you care about people as a whole, you need to be truthful with yourselves and stop doing what you're doing in the atmosphere. I know what you're doing with I can't even pronounce it properly. Barium, B-R-O-M-I-N-E, barium, and I know that it can help the ozone. It helps to put back what's depleted from the ozone. And I understand, and if you're a learned person, you really want to help the environment. Of course, you want to fix that ozone so we don't have that problem with all the radioactive rays coming through the atmosphere, which is beautiful. That's a wonderful, wonderful way of looking at it. But you don't understand, when you're putting these chemicals in the atmosphere, there are going to be chemical reactions. And I just want to get it clear to what effect B-R-O-M-I-N-E, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, but bromine, okay, and the effects of aluminum are. In small concentrations, a bromium is not really a threat or danger, but you got to understand, when it's water soluble, okay, and there's tons of moisture in the atmosphere, okay, and we have aluminum in the atmosphere, okay, and the moisture and the aluminum in high concentrations will react violently, and in some cases can have toxic effects. And it's not just the concerns of the people. I mean, I'm concerned about people, their well-being in general, you know what I'm trying to say, but I'm talking about the well-being of the whole entire globe, not just the people alone. You're not only going to destroy human life, you're going to destroy the planet. So the planet, I don't know what your plans or goals are in putting all these chemicals in the atmosphere. It's not going to work. And obviously, if you're smart, you know that the ozone layer is about that of how much wet paint is on a wall. That's how thick it is. It's very, very delicate to a certain degree. And if you break the balance of the ozone layer, or you cause a chemical reaction which the ozone layer just depletes itself even more, because you're trying to fix something that can be fixed on its own merit without putting chemicals in the atmosphere. Everybody wants a quick fix all of a sudden. You just can't make a quick fix of Mother Nature. I'm sorry. I mean, I applaud your desire to do this, but you're not taking into consideration the ramifications of what is going to happen. There are tons of airborne metals. There are tons of chemicals in the ocean, tons of chemicals in the atmosphere. And we all know that certain chemicals react violently with each other and can be very toxic and very volatile to the environment and to the inhabitants of the earth. And what am I going to do? I'm just a single individual just being aware of this stuff. I'm bringing it out to the open. I hope there's some people out there that really care about human life, because, the experiment you're doing on the earth, human life can only take so much. They even stated that high amounts of aluminum actually shuts down your DNA, shuts down life. Not only in human beings, but in plants as well. And people and plants got to cohabitate together because we need oxygen. And we need certain amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. That's true, certain amounts. Not these large amounts that we have. That's another issue. I'm not going to get into that. But you got to understand the chemical reactions that are going to be happening in the atmosphere. And there already are certain concentrations of barium, B-R-O-M-I-N-E, in the ocean. And there's certain areas of high concentrations of this. So when you're spraying all this aluminum, 5,000 to 50,000 parts per billion, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know exactly how they measure it, you're putting this into the water, you're putting this into the land. It depletes does something to the pH level of the soil, so shit ain't gonna grow in it properly. You're putting plaque in people's brains so they get Alzheimer's earlier, because we know aluminum it binds with inside your mind. You just can't get it out. Mercury, you can get it out with lactic acid. That'll help get it out of your body. But I don't think your aluminum, once it gets in there, there's no way of actually getting that out of your body. And like certain leads, it can't actually get out of your body. It's pretty much permanent. So, and they're the things we know about. I mean, I want to get on with what I'm talking about here. I'm only talking about two elements: aluminum and bromine. Okay. Now these have, when they get together in water, they cause a violent reaction, okay? And that will affect things. You can actually make a chloride out of it, bromium chloride, because when it mixes with certain elements in nature, it makes chloride. Actually, like chlorine, it puts off a gas similar to chlorine. I mean, it's not intense like real chlorine is, but it does put off a type of chlorine type odor, so it may be toxic as well. I'm pretty sure it is toxic though. Now, at one time, now you got to worry about people. People have ingested bromine as sedatives. It was used as a medicine. So not only do you have the problem of the reaction in the environment and on land, the people that are drinking water are breathing this air that has this large amounts of aluminum in it, okay? Much smaller. It's different. Like the aluminum we have is solid. This stuff that's in the air is small particles of aluminum, like almost like a powder. Okay, now your body ingests this, right? What's going to happen? Okay, your water, you're made of 70% water. What's going to happen when that bromine that people had in their bodies previous to that mixes with the aluminum? Okay, because they make salts out of this. They use for physical treatments of some type. I don't know exactly what they are. You can research it. So you're mixing this aluminum in there, and your body is water salt. Aluminum can be water soluble, I believe, and bromine can be water soluble. I know that. But the reaction of the aluminum and the boron, that could be devastating to the human organism. And I'm only talking about 2 elements. 2. Now, I'm always telling scientists on my videos, you got to look at the effects of catalysts. And you chemists out there, you have to be aware of what a catalyst can do. All kinds of chemicals can react with one another. Okay, say you make a reaction of 2 chemicals, right? Let's just say the 2 chemicals we're talking about, bromine and aluminum, okay? They make a chemical reaction, right? And they can interact, depending on what it encounters, can react with itself and cause a chain reaction of events that could spread. And if it's water soluble, my friends, it's in your water. And if you destroy the water, you've destroyed life. If you destroy the land and the environments because you want to do your geoengineering to sell seeds to the masses and say, hey, we got the answer, you can't sell it to deceased people. You can't sell it to anybody because the water will be toxic. So the water that's sucked into these vegetables, fruits, and plants will be a toxic wasteland. I mean, I hate it. I hate the fact that people are not thinking out there. They're not putting their mind together to realize what they're doing. Your short-term effects have lasting and long-term effects. Do you get what I'm saying? Your quick fixes are going to do nothing more than damage the earth. You could call me, whatever you want to call me, but I'm calling a spade. And I'm calling what's real, real. And I do real research. And I design my way of thinking around what will be the outcome. And I know the outcome is going to be grim. And everybody says, oh, there's another gloom and doomer. No, I'm telling you, you can't be screwing with the nature. You cannot screw the physical nature of things around you. When we rely on a certain amount of what we have in our environment to stay alive, you need a certain amount of oxygen in the atmosphere to stay alive. All organisms need a certain amount of oxygen. When you screw it to deplete the level of oxygen, you're depleting life. When you screw with the amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, there's a certain balance between plants and carbon dioxide. They need carbon dioxide to function, all right, and they give off oxygen. But you got to understand I don't want to get into global warming, but methane is getting in the atmosphere. What kind of effects will methane have with all the other chemicals that are up there? So we got tons of chemicals floating around in our atmosphere, stratosphere, and God knows what's going to happen when they react. And it even stated here, it can have an explosive reaction. So when these chemicals combine in certain areas of wherever, they can have an explosive reaction. You don't know. You could be working in the field and pouring this chemical through your water system and then have an explosion and wonder how the explosion happened. I mean, I'm just hypothesizing on that. That's not truly factual. That's just an idea that I have. But going back to this. Oh, and not to mention, we use a pesticide called methyl bromium, okay? And it has a nasty side effect when mixed with aluminum and when it's mixed with other chemicals. So you got to understand, now you got this shit raining down from the skies into certain areas. I don't know if they're still allowed the use of this pesticide, but some people are probably using it illegally anyhow. You have this pesticide already in the soil, already around plant life, and then you're spraying this powdered aluminum and barium and God knows what else out up there, and it's coming down and it's getting into the soil. It can bleach the soil too. It has a bleaching effect too when those two chemicals mix together. I already told you it causes like a chloride effect, so similar to the chloride you use to wash in your freaking washing machine. It's not a highly volatile chloride, I believe, but it still creates a chloride which could, in high percentages, be toxic. And I'm just talking, like I said, I'm just talking about just two elements here. So what are you going to do now that you know this? I'll give you tons of other chemical reactions that can happen when you mix this, because there's a lot of reactions. I mean, it already talked about, I read about this, and I mean, I'm not talking, nonsense. I'm talking about science and the actual study of reactions of these things. The catalyst effects. And I'm just saddened because you do not know what the true outcome is going to be on this. I mean, we've been doing it since 1970. They sprayed Sacramento. They sprayed a lot of places. I mean, and I don't know who's doing it, but I hope that whoever's doing it realizes that if you're doing it for money, your money ain't going to be there very long, because there ain't going to be nobody to get money from, because life is going to cease to exist. The organisms can only take so much toxicity. A living organism or a plant organism can only take so much toxicity. There's only so much it can take. And if there's a reaction in the atmosphere, and you make something that's volatile to plant life and to human life, human organisms, and you change the ratio of oxygen, the ratio of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that we need to survive, and you change that, you're going to destroy the planet, because we're not designed to adapt that quickly. We can adapt over time to the environment, because a lot of creatures in the ocean have done this over time. Because they live in harsh, environments, real hot, heated environments in the ocean, stuff like that, way down in the ocean. Yeah, they've adapted, but they also adapted over time. Okay, they adjusted to the pressures. They adjusted to the changes in chemicals going in and out of their body that don't affect them anymore. But us as human beings and plants that are on the planet right now, you cannot change things in a 100-year span and expect us to adapt, or plants to adapt appropriately to it. And what more can I say? I would like to live on this planet for a while, healthily. I would love everybody else to live on this planet healthily for a while. But if you're a scientist and you're a chemist, or you're someone that just don't give a shit and you're spraying this shit in the atmosphere for money, what good is it going to be if you don't have life to enjoy the money you have? What good is it going to be with your short-time experiment going to be when the long-term effects are going to kill off our children or grandchildren? Do you want us to be here or not? I think you should really consider about what you're putting in the atmosphere, and what you consider about what the ramifications and the effects are going to be on this planet. This is a heartfelt message for you. I really hope that any of those people that are involved in geoengineering get a grasp on this. And you people that are in government, in Congress, if you know about this, you should be taking care of it. Okay? And if you're oblivious to it, you better find out about it. And those people that know the dangers and are deliberately doing this, shame on you. Shame. What more can I say? Is greed going to be the destruction of us? Is stupidity? Is a quick buck? Is a short-time experiment going to be beneficial when there's no life here to enjoy it? Your hopes? Be a true scientist. Be a true engineer. Be a true researcher, and find out the facts and do what's right for this planet and the people on it. Okay? Of course, we're all deceived in this world. A lot of people think life is a utopia. There's not a utopia in this world. We live in the real world, and we got to accept real things and real change. And if you become too radical in your change, there's going to be reactions to it. Dire reactions. So think positively, think hard, and like I always say, research. I've only talked about two elements, and my mind perceived what can happen, what's going to happen, just with those two elements, not counting all the other reactions. And okay, so please research this, and please don't take my word for it. Look up these things. It's simple. You look them up. You find out what they are and what they do and what the outcome is going to be if you mix them all together. It's just like making a stew. You put certain ingredients to get a certain effect, a certain stew.